This is The Void.
Good evening. You tuned in to another episode of The Boy. Thanks for joining me tonight. Hey, I just want to apologize real quick. I'm losing my voice. I was teaching class today and my voice just left me. So I'm going to try to do my best through the show. But sorry about that. But tonight's show, awesome show. Got Bryan Jenkins. He's a former professional ballet dancer with the Houston Ballet and Ballet Met. And he's also an instructor now, right? Where are you doing that?
I work for several schools right now, but mainly Florida Ballet Training Centre and Studio 1014, as well as Mark's BVAC. So,
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for being on the show. I appreciate you coming.
yeah, it's good to be here. Just came from class actually on Tuesdays, so this is cool.
Awesome, awesome. Well, let's get into a little bit about you. Why don't you tell the folks out there a little bit about yourself? Sort of start at the beginning, where you were born and what rolled out to become now. But don't take
See what
too
the
long.
whole thing. Well, I was born in Atlanta in '86. Then we moved to Jacksonville. My dad's a medical engineer for Siemens. And we moved back here. His family and my parents' family were already here. So I grew up here in the 90s mostly. And actually was a basketball player for a really long time. Way before I ended up getting into ballet. But yeah, went to Douglas Anderson, then left to finish high school at another place called the Herod Conservatory. Then went to Houston and then Ballet Met. But basically, I would say the coolest thing growing up in Jacksonville is that there's so many different art schools to go to. Like, I went to Pine Forest in the 90s, but I also, at the same time, was doing sports. And then we went to Landon. This is before La Villa came about, which is pure arts magnet, um, or I should say arts school. And Landon was the arts magnet. Uh, I remember starting for the
Wait,
basketball
what?
team at the same
What
time
level of
as
school?
dancing. And this is Landon Middle School, San
it's-
Marco area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Uh huh. So that was an interesting time to do both. Mainly more
You said it was
sports
an
than
art
dance,
school?
but well, it was the arts magnet. They didn't have the arts program yet.
All right, this is gonna sound really silly.
yeah,
But what does that mean? Like, I
The
never
magnet?
really understood
Well,
what a magnet school was anyway.
I think the magnet term comes from usually when you go to a school, you live in the area where the school is. But if a magnet school, depending on maybe there's a lottery sometimes, or you have to audition and you get in, or you have to have a certain GPA, depending on what the school is. This was the arts one, so you had to audition and they would choose to accept you. But at the same time, it wasn't a
To
pure
middle
arts
school?
school. Yeah, this is for middle.
Wow.
And at the same time, it wasn't a pure art school, so you still had some of the local students or kids in the area that went there.
Yeah, just
Sometimes
in the
that
area.
clashed with uh, the more artistic side of the school versus the public school side. So that was a weird time. It was
I
an
didn't know
interesting
schools were
time.
like that.
Well, it was then because they didn't have La Villa, which is all arts. I was actually the
That's a
last
dedicated
graduating
middle
class of Landon before they were no longer the arts magnet, because then La Villa started the year after. So I don't know what La Villa's like, but I know what DA was like, and it was straight arts. Like there was no sports or anything, so it was different, and everybody had to audition to get in. So
Wow.
it was really interesting.
What's the audition
So,
like?
just a typical audition. You for a dance, I would speak of. The rest, I don't know. I didn't do the other arts, but
Yeah,
you
for
take
dance.
class. You go in there. You start at bar. You do ballet bar, all that stuff. It's like an 30-minute thing. Audition times are usually shorter classes. They don't want to see a full thing. They just want to see what you look like and then move on. So you do ballet bar and then a little bit of ballet center. Then you take off the ballet shoes. So you're about an hour into it. Then we do some modern, I would say 20 minutes, maybe a little more. And at the end, the hardest part, I remember at 14 thinking, oh, okay, they just asked me to improv.
Whoa.
So they're like, we're going to play some music and we want you to stand right here and just make something up. And you're like, okay.
What's
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. What are you
What
gonna
goes
do?
through your
So,
mind? Like what kind? What are you doing? When you do this?
I don't know. I mean,
Does it depend on the
now
music?
it's not easier, but you understand what you need to do after a lot of training. I mean, this is way before I was even close to professional. This is
Right.
like I was shooting hoops and decided,
Well-
oh, okay, I'll go to this school.
What got you into
You know.
it in the first place?
Well, actually, I really liked tap dancing when I was a kid, like 8 years old, 9 years old. I was probably around then, and I was a big Gregory Hines fan, who's now been gone for a while. But I was all about tap dancing, not river dance, not river dance. It wasn't that. That didn't do
Yeah.
it for me. But it was tap dancing. Then my mom made me do ballet because they always say about ballet in the local studios, or I've heard it other places, but mostly around like the local community type people of, well, ballet is the, beginning of all the dance. It's like if you're good at ballet, you can be good at everything. It makes you better at every other form of dance. Of course, when you're a 9-year-old boy and someone's telling you you're going to be in ballet class, you're not too thrilled. It's not the worst thing ever, but it was strange. I don't think I want to do it. So I did it for a while, off and on, mostly once or twice a week. I was not too vocal about it. Tap dancing, I was fine. I remember doing talent shows and different things like that, or dance with some girl in some piece at something. It's like 3 minutes long, and people were cool with that. But you go out there in a pair of tights and a crowd laughs at you, like the other kids. Like, not at you, but like it's kind of funny when you're a kid and you see a guy wear a pair of tights. Like, you
Yeah,
just
I
laugh.
guess so.
I remember laughing too. It's just weird immaturity. But so I didn't really like it that much because I was really good at basketball at the time, and yeah, that was my thing. Like, I could shoot really well. I just play good defense. Played on a lot of different teams. Did different summer camps around town, and University of Florida, Orlando Magic summer camp, stuff like that. City League, Biddy Ball, Landon Middle School. I don't know how many teams. A lot of
Wow,
summer leagues.
that's a lot.
So yeah, it was
You're pretty
went on for
dedicated.
about almost 10 years, for almost 6 until 15, so 9 years, and then that's when I switched to ballet. But yeah, ballet doesn't really. I noticed a lot of boys don't like it when they're young. It's rare, and then sometimes you get older and you start to like it more, because when you get older you can do more in ballet. But when you're a kid, you don't have the ability to jump high and do tricks and turns, and you don't understand movement concept and quality as well. So I don't want to sit there at the bar, stand there and just bend my knee and stretch my leg. I get bored, you know. So basketball, I mean, you can score. By the time I quit, like in a decent league, I would score 20 to 27 points a game or whatever, something like. It wasn't just about scoring points. There's a lot to basketball, but it was about I was getting
Sure.
good. And then in a tough league, I'd be like a guy that could get you 8 or 9. I could get you a few 3-pointers, good defense on the wing and the perimeter. Maybe I could drive in here or there because that was the other reason why I really quit basketball. It's because I wasn't 6'3", 6'4", and I wanted to be in the NBA, and that's tough
Yeah,
to
no
be
doubt.
5'10", 5'9", and play. Even when I switched to dance, I was like 5'6", so freshman in high school. So I was like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I want to keep trying and then just stop at 20 something years old and be like, or not even then, probably even 18. Like, what do you do? Where do you go?
Yeah.
So I was pretty serious about switching to dance, but yeah, basketball was great. I mean, I really think the team concept I learned from that is really helping me with teaching and coaching right now.
Oh, cool.
Not that ballet doesn't teach you a lot of those things, but this is just a completely different way that you'd have to live through it. Um, and a team concept is different than a dancing professional because when you perform, it's so much more individual.
Sure.
Even though you could be in a group and you have to work with the group and be either in a canon, which is different timings. Like I could do the same phrase of movement and start, say, 8 counts or maybe 6 seconds after someone. And that can go in a canon, just like in music. It's where we borrow that from. So that's important. Or if you're in a pas de deux, you have to partner the girl. Then it's more about her. But most of the time in dance, it is very individual. But in a game, you have to be part of a team or you're not going to play.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if you're a superstar, but how many are those? You can name like 10 in the world off the top of your head. So
I have a buddy that is a former professional baseball player, and he was saying that you get to a point where they're not really your teammates, those guys, or at least on professional. When it was college, he said it was like a team. In high school, it's a team. But then when you go pro, because your paycheck depends on that guy, and if he screws up, then the whole team gets less money, kind of thing. And those are your coworkers. And it was a totally different dynamic as a professional. So I wonder, like, as a professional ballet dancer, do you feel like there was that kind of feeling? That's that the star can ruin the show, and then that affects your pay.
if there's any dancers tuned in, they're laughing right now, I promise you. Yes and no. I mean, when it really comes down to it, we care about each other unless somebody just doesn't get along with someone, but that's in life.
Sure.
But, yeah, I mean, think about it. Just to get into a company, like a good company, could be a few hundred to 1,000, maybe a little more that audition a year. And maybe there's 1 or 2 spots available.
Wow.
So there's already that. That's just to get in. And then when you get in, depending on where you're ranked, or if it's not a ranked company, it's still ranked. They just don't have it official. Ranking depends what role you get, when you get casted.
Oh, I see.
So then there's still casting. Everybody wants to get the job, and then you're like, oh, well, now I got to get this part. So they bring in a choreographer, and you take your company class. Choreographers looking at who they want to pick. Hopefully you get picked if you're good in class. Some people are great dancers and they don't do well in class, or vice versa. So there's a lot of that going on, and then casting goes out and you want to get a part, someone else gets it. sometimes there can be never an event of an incident, but people can be steamed by it or just, I don't know.
Have you
It's
ever
tough.
seen a
It's just
fight?
really competition. It's really
Have you
all
ever
it
been in a
is.
fight?
A fight?
Like fisticuffs?
Oh, no, never like that. Not in the dance world. People aren't, it's rare that someone's violent. They don't like that. Now, in sports, that's different. I remember coming from that and going into dance, and it was very different what you could do and what you couldn't do, or what you could say and what you couldn't say. So, those were different things. But no, it's just competitive in the end. I mean, everybody wants to get the part, or wants a certain part in it,
Sure.
that's how it goes. And then you just get stressed. It's hard. You're working your body all the time. Can be long hours. But for the most part, I don't remember anything going too crazy with me. Like somebody was really bent about it. You just gotta earn it. That's how it goes. So, I mean, there's probably some stories, but I could never name names. I mean, that would be bad.
Oh yeah, don't name names.
Yeah. No, I know I've heard things like secret rehearsals with the ballet mistress for one dancer, but nobody wanted the ballet mistress to rehearse them because they didn't like her
Wait,
at the
what's that?
time.
What's a ballet mistress?
Ballet mistress is like an assistant coach for a team would be, if you want to think about it like that.
Okay.
And we have a male, it's the ballet master, and female is the ballet mistress. The person in charge is the artistic director. So
Oh.
that's like the head person. And then those would be like second in command. I mean, they don't get a lot of say so, but they rehearse you. Sometimes they are involved in casting. But yeah, there was one, and I liked her, but she didn't ever work well in groups. I think individually, I always thought I got better in rehearsal. But there was a lot of people that didn't like her for whatever reason. But she wasn't a bad person or anything. And yeah, one girl was really good, and she had the opening night, so she was like first cast. She was, doing. I won't say the role either, but yeah, there was apparently a rehearsal with just her and the ballet mistress, and you think the others wouldn't care because they didn't want to be in rehearsal with her anyway, but they were pretty mad about that and made a big deal for about a week about this secret rehearsal. And it's ridiculous.
Secret
Just stuff
rehearsal.
like that. It builds up. By the end of the year, everybody's just ready for the summer, and usually you come back and it goes great. I mean, it's a great job. People have a lot of fun. I mean, think about it. You get to perform all these great ballets. I mean, sometimes you don't get to do a good ballet. Sometimes you do bad ballets, but even then, it's
Like,
still like.
what would be a bad ballet?
Well, it depends. It's all just like in movies. You could see a movie and be like, that was a good movie. Somebody else could say, oh, that was terrible. Like, oh, maybe it wasn't so good. And then you watch it again, like, no, it was good. I mean, dance to me is the same. But what would make a bad ballet, like a bad storyline?
Okay.
Just not good choreography. You could watch it and just like, in choreography, it takes time to understand it more and more. Like, I remember when I started dancing, it took me about 2 to 3 years to pick up on choreography more. So, I don't know. I mean,
Wait, do you choreograph yourself too?
I have a little bit recently and had some success, which was really nice. But, yeah, I don't know, man. But I think if you just get to be in an environment like that, especially after training for so many years I went to elementary art school, middle school, high school, then conservatory, academy, Houston Ballet too, that I was a part of, was a big way to train. That helped me probably the most. And then you finally get to perform and be in that. I mean, it's just like if you're a football player and you want to be in the NFL, Maybe sometimes you're only out there on second down. You got to work your way up to being there, a 3 down guy. But during those times, you find out, and you could, I don't know, you could be on a bad team with a bad offense, bad offensive coordinator. You could be in
Is
a
that
ballet
like,
company and they could bring bad choreographers sometimes. I never really experienced that. I always was lucky. I mean, there's been a few, but I think
have you looked at
for the
other
most part.
companies and thought that?
Oh, I think every dancer has at some point. I think even the company would admit themselves, like, I mean, not publicly, but
Right.
they would say, that didn't really work out so well. But it's funny because the crowd, it always ultimately decides how something's a make or break. Like, I remember doing one piece or it was a whole ballet actually, and it was kind of like a clue murder mystery thing. I won't say the name of it, of course, but it was just ridiculous. I thought it was dumb. I thought the concept was good, and the set and the wardrobe was kind of cool, but we made that thing happen because there wasn't much to draw from. And like, so and so's the butler. Okay, what are you gonna do? That's what I remember being told. You're the butler. That was it. And whatever you do was what was in it. And that's how each part was, Professor.
You got a chance to
Femme
make it up
Fatale.
yourself?
Yeah, I think I was the butler, and I try not to remember too much about it, but yeah, but it was terrible. And I remember a lot of us, not every dancer, but a lot of us were like, "Man, this is gonna suck." And then the crowd loved it. They
Yeah.
loved it, man.
Good
They ate
reviews.
it up. They ate it up, which was good, and we were glad because we had to put in the work. Of course, we were hoping they wouldn't do it again, but we had a smart director. And he wasn't gonna do it again. But
Well, if the crowd liked it, why wouldn't you do it again?
well, you have to keep in mind. I mean, it is still the company, and just because we got away with it that time doesn't mean we should keep recurring. Like,
Maybe you
doing
found something special. You don't
not
want to
that
try to
one.
recreate
No.
that.
I think it was,
Or was it
a
just a
fun
lucky
experience, but I don't think you want to build your company off of that particular brand.
I see.
And then sometimes we would do really something cool, like a really good piece and everything about it, but it was very complex, and the crowd wouldn't always grasp to that, and we would be surprised. But for the most part, there's a lot of like, this is a great ballet, great contemporary piece, whatever, great pas de deux, and then the crowd will also agree. It's not always the opposite, but I've experienced that, and I've always thought that was interesting. I've talked to other people recently too, because I do teach. I just teach all the time, and sometimes I do some guestings or a guest artist or a gig or whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
But and they'll say the same thing. I'll beat them to the punch of like, yeah, isn't it funny? And you hate it, and then the crowd loves it, and they're like, oh, yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. I'm like, yeah, that's how it goes sometimes.
I feel like
have no
artists are
idea
like
why.
that anyway. They're
What's
always
that?
hard on themselves for whatever they've done, whatever form or
That's
job.
true. That's true. We can be sometimes too negative, but I mean,
Well,
Yeah.
so we have a comment from Empire Kyle on our live chat stream. So for those listening out there, don't forget we do have a live chat stream. Or you can give us a call, 904-638-5119. You can ask Bryan a question. So he's asking, is your experience anything like the show Breaking Points? Or Breaking Point?
yeah,
excuse
Breaking
me.
Point. That's with Ballet West in Salt Lake City. I don't watch the show that much. I just don't watch a lot of reality TV. I'm glad the show's on. I think a lot of people, I can understand why they like it. My criticism of that show is that they don't show enough dancing. It's a lot of the drama, which is part of it, but there's a lot more going on than the drama. It's mostly, our job, which is to be dancing and whatever
Sure.
thing. But but there is similarities. I mean, you have to. It is a lifestyle. I mean, you don't like, oh, it's Wednesday night. Let's go out and party like on a random weekend. Like, let's so and so's birthday on this day. We'll go out and celebrate. Nah, you got to save it for the weekend when you have time off because you can't be coming in the next day like that. I mean, there are a few dancers that can try to push the limit, but then you're left wondering if I was 100% focused on that day, what I could have accomplished. Because the window's so narrow. Like, you could have a good job, you could be in the spot, and you can get the roles and be working your way up, and then one thing happens, and there's a chain reaction, and there's so many other people right behind you ready to go.
Yeah, they're ready.
Yeah, so you can't be messing around with that or give the impression, especially to the director, of, oh, well, this person in the company is pretty loose with their lifestyle. They're going to do whatever. I know a lot of places we would call it discipline. Like, this person's very disciplined. Like, they're in class every day, like you should be, and you're on time, and whatever, et cetera, et cetera. But no, it's interesting they actually ask about the breaking point, because I just went to the Youth American Grand Prix in Atlanta a month ago. I had a few students competing, and one of my best teachers, Claudio Munoz, ended up being a judge in it. Apparently he's done it the past 8 years. I worked with him a lot at Houston Ballet too, and in the academy. So I remember, all right, let's go after whichever was the last round at 10 o'clock, and you got a car, I'll ride with you, and we'll go get some food and catch up. Well, he didn't have a car, so he was like, oh, Adam, let's ride with you. Adam Skloot, he was another judge. He's the director of the company, Ballet West, Salt Lake,
okay.
which the breaking point show's at. So that was cool. He was really nice guy. He was really, really cool guy. So yeah, I got to meet him, and one of my best friends dances in the company, Alex McFarlane, who we were at Ballet Met in 2006. We were close friends. He was a trainee at the time. He's doing very well there, but he's not in the show at all. So I'm like, I don't understand why they don't have more. I can understand not putting the whole company in there. Like, someone shows up for a year and they're a low rank, or they don't use them very much, and they're a gamble, like, oh, I see potential, let's give them a contract and see how they do this year. Not so much. Or yeah, and they work their way up. Well, this guy's been there for a while. I mean, he went there in 2007, and I see different stuff he does. I mean, he's a good dancer there, and he's not in the show at all. So I wonder who else is not in the show that can affect, what a normal company experience is. But I do think it's really cool that they do it. And I know there was a bunch of companies that sent in videos before the first season to apply, so to speak, to be the company that they would do it for, and they chose Ballet West. So, which is a good company. I don't know a ton about it because they switched directors, and I mean, I know a little bit of Adam now that I've met him, but I don't know a lot about what they're doing. So I'm not sure why they chose that one in particular, but they did, and I don't know.
So I think inevitably I'm going to have to ask you, since we're talking about shows about ballet. So is Black Swan like
the movie?
A reality?
Yeah, we're getting all kinds of pop culture in here. No, this is great, because this is what a lot of people want to know. You would be surprised, like, because, how many people saw it or remember when it came out. A lot of people were talking about it. I would say that main character, I think, was already totally, something was wrong and mentally with her, right. Which is why it was over the top, like in the beginning when the director's walking around in the class and directors have certain ways of achieving that same idea of like trying to push you and, you know, pick whoever, but it wouldn't be done like that. I mean, can you imagine working in an environment like that every day? Maybe some days things happen and you feel the pressure of, I want to keep this job, I gotta keep doing my stuff, you know, you don't want to slip off, but I don't remember anything being that intense. I mean, I worked with Stanton Welch. He was a pretty intense guy sometimes when it came to something like that, but it was never on that level where, you know, he just walk around and stare at people and make a certain gesture, and then you have to figure out what does that mean, or call you out. And I'm gonna pick all these names and make you think you're good. Oh, sorry, the names I called, please leave. Like, those are head games. Like, I don't remember it being that intense. I mean, every walk of life, I would assume, has head games, but I mean, I don't know. She went totally insane in that movie. I mean,
Yeah, right.
I don't know. I know people that have done some stuff, and girls especially, because you got to be thin. And I know people have done interesting ways of doing that, and sometimes there's consequences. But I don't remember anybody losing their mind like that. I don't know. So I would say it is not an accurate description of a dancer's experience in a company, but it was a very interesting thing to watch. It was very captivating, and of course it was casted well, I think, and the choreography was good. So
Oh,
yeah.
that's pretty cool. It's interesting to get your take on that.
Yeah.
So a couple entries on our chat feed. So Sun Angel 90 wants to know, where can we follow your guest? So can people follow you? Do you have a website?
No, I don't have a website. It's funny you say that. People have been getting after me to make one now that I do this particular
Oh, yeah,
thing. But I'm
especially-
on Facebook. I mean, Bryan Jenkins. Facebook. I don't know. I don't have a website though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so while we're at it, Shallow Star 2012 wants to know, what made you choose ballet over tap, and who are your ballet idols?
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a long story. I mean, think about being a boy growing up. You know the
Well, it
Jackson.
sounds like your
area.
parents sort of wanted to choose a little bit of a direction and gave you a nudge towards that, right? From
I would
school.
say my mom fought for it in a good way. She fought for it. But I think when it came down to it,
Was it
there's
summer
not
school?
as big of a career in tap. I mean,
Okay.
there's people that can do it and find ways, but it's
Sure.
not. There's a lot more ballet companies that I know of.
Right.
I mean, unless there's all these tap companies never heard of. But I'm familiar with a lot of dance, not all of dance, but there's just not a big market for it. And honestly, I met this guy, teacher Jonathan Guys, in 2001, early 2001. And I took his class. I was going to quit ballet. I was over it. And
Why were you gonna
just
quit?
loved it. Well, I went to DA and thought that it would help me get more into ballet, but it was still more
Wait,
of an
what's DA?
art
Is this
school.
A school local here?
Douglas Anderson School
Oh,
of the
okay,
Arts,
Douglas.
which I'm very fond of. I mean, I am. But I was coming out of basketball. I had no idea how to act like a dancer. I didn't understand the dancer's mentality. I mean, I had gone to Landon with a lot of them, or a dance studio, which I never cared much for at the time. But I don't know. I mean,
Well,
honestly,
can
it
you
was really
elaborate on
Jonathan that did the most, because
It was what?
I could. This guy Jonathan that I
Oh.
was talking about did the most. The reason why is because he's like, hey, do this. We call a double tour, or watch me do a double awesome blade. You try to do it. That's run across the floor, kick your leg really high, do 2 turns in the air like a missile, and then land in a open position. Like, well, that was kind of cool. I wasn't doing that in the other class. What is that? I kind of want to learn it. Think about it. I mean, I was dribbling,
Sure.
jump, block a shot, get a rebound. I mean, that was making me feel more physical. Pirouettes when you turn. I mean, dancing is so much more than tricks, but put yourself into a 14, 15-year-old's mindset at the time. And you're like, oh, okay, I want to learn some more of this.
Something sort of
Yeah. So, and we're also was skateboarding at the time, which not very many dancers I know do that. It's probably a pretty bad idea, but growing up in Florida, I mean, there's a lot of skateboarders.
Sure.
Tony Hawk in the late 90s really pushed more people into it with the video games and stuff. I was right before that, but I remember that being big, and all the kids in the neighborhood you'd see was on a board riding around doing something.
Right.
So
Yeah,
it just kind of made me relate to that more. And honestly, being around a 20-something-year-old dude teaching ballet, I was like, all right, I can do this. And then I just happened to really fall in love with ballet, like as a passion, as like I said earlier, a lifestyle. Couldn't get enough. I mean, I remember one year I would watch every Florida Gators football game, and I always liked the NBA more, so I didn't watch their basketball as much. But you know, I would always see the game, I would never miss it. And then when I started to switch to ballet, I just remember watching ballet videotapes. This is before we even had DVDs, and just go over to a friend's house that was a dancer, and like, dude, check out this tape I just got. And we'd push it in, and whatever was in it, we would watch. And then we'd go skateboard, or then like get in the car and take class. And I don't remember watching any football games for a couple of years. Like, got so zoned in, like switched from sports into dance. It was, looking back on it, was a lot more unique than at the time. Because when you live your life, you're just doing the next thing. You're not really thinking about, oh, that was strange. But now that I teach, I mean, there's so many, I don't know, a lot from growing up like that, and that I apply to different things. I think that makes me stand out right now. I mean, I'm still really early in the full-time teaching process. This is my third year full-time. I mean, I know some teachers that have been teaching for like 50 years, 40 years.
Sure.
I mean, so there's a long way to go on that, but so far I do draw from that. And I would say the idols, ballet idols, I would go with, obviously, first it would be Mikhail Baryshnikov. I mean, speaking of the VHS tapes we would watch, I mean, most of them were his, but now really you can just go on YouTube, or in the early aughts, they had the DVDs coming out, so you could get more on a DVD and maybe see some more. But Baryshnikov, I really liked Ethan Stiefel. I know a lot of people that don't like him, but I'm a big fan. I would say I've actually worked with a few. I will name one. Became an idol, so to speak, or a figure of that sort would be Lazaro Carreño, in the dance part of his life, definitely. I don't know. Those are Gregory Hines. I would have to put that out again, because that's how I would start tap dancing. I remember I was young, so it seemed really cool, and then I didn't know anyone, and they're like, "Hey, check this guy out." You know, tap teacher, give me the movie Tap, and he's in it. It was incredible. I just remember like running around the house and tapping, like doing whatever. And when I started, they always noticed that I had ability in dance. Like, what we would say is a correction, like, oh, you should stand with your feet this way. Well, the next week, half or not, probably 80% of the kids forget that. I would never forget. Oh, I don't know why. My body would remember. Sometimes I didn't even know I was doing it, but because they had told me to do it, I just would remember. Or I started halfway through the dance year in tap back in '94, and I was like a young boy, 8 years old, and there was 5 other girls in the class. They had been tapping since they were 3, like most girls, you know, just like how I went and played basketball, or I never really did baseball much. My dad wouldn't let me play football. He played football and did not want me to play. Which now I thank him very much for that. Uh, Even though I love football, but to watch. But yeah, they were way ahead of me the first half of the year because I came in, halfway through the year. And within 2 months, I was the best person in the class. And they've been tapping for years. I mean, we're kids, so you can only do as much as you can. But on that scale, I've surpassed them. And then when they made me do ballet, it was the same thing. After a few months, half the girls couldn't pick up the combination fast enough. And so, you'd look over and there's half the people following me. I just made a mistake and they all made the same mistake. It's like if you're in a classroom and someone's copying off your answers.
Sure.
And there's like 10 people like, oh, okay. And it was easy for me at that part. Now, many things in ballet have been a challenge, but that was never much of a challenge. I mean, you have to improve on that, but that was a natural thing. And that was cool to challenge yourself in the young years of learning demi-plie, grand plie, tendu, dégagé, frappe, rond de jambe, fondue, grand battement, rond de jambe en l'air. I mean, petit battement, all that stuff. I mean, you have to learn the list of class, which I didn't quite name in order, but that's most of the bar exercises. But then you get bored, you get older and you don't want to wear tights and they always want to put you in some cheesy dance. And you're like, no, I'm good. I just remember saying I was good. I mean, we're going to go play this game and there's going to be however many people every time I shoot the ball, like, oh, because I could shoot really well. And then I remember in 7th grade dating the captain of the cheerleading team, Allison Thomas, who was in my dance class at Landon. That's how I got to know her. Well, we were in performance too. Of course, I tried to make it a secret to most people.
What, that you were dancing?
Oh yeah, it was definitely like people knew that were in dance, but if they weren't in the dance department, I was pretty good at avoiding it. Like, I would never deny it because everybody had to be in an art form at Landon. You had to. You couldn't go there and not be in one of the departments. So it's like, what department are you in? That was always a question I hope people didn't ask me,
So why is it? Is there a social stigma?
Oh, of course. I mean, honestly, now that I'm grown, even in high school, there was some of it still, but I remember once I was around 18, it was really cool. Think of it now, I'm here talking with you about stuff, but when you're growing up, no. I mean, it seems like it's maybe gotten a little bit better, but I can't tell. I mean, you'd have to ask an individual their experience. But, there's the whole thing of, oh, well, you're gay, which I remember not having a problem with people thinking that I was gay, but it's certainly not
well, you don't
like,
have...
oh my gosh, that's great.
Well, you don't
that's not
that
great when you're 10 years old.
Girls.
Well, yeah, but think about it. And I remember because they always knew that I was, as you would say, straight. I was never maybe he, even when you're young, I remember people thinking that of certain people. But everybody always pretty much knew I was straight, which wasn't the best thing because when you're at a studio and you're the only boy and there's like 100 girls, I remember at one of the studios I went to.
That sounds awesome.
I started, but it wasn't awesome because
I guess
they didn't really talk to me that much a lot of times. I remember there was 2 years straight. I would go in to take class and none of them would talk to me. And part of it could be maybe the girls at that studio were just stuck up. I mean, I don't want to paint a wide brush over every situation or anything like that, but I remember that happening. I was been about like that. Like, it's not that much fun. It's not like it's easy for me to be here. And clearly I was doing well enough. I mean, it's not like you could tell, oh, this guy just showed up a week ago because he wants to hang out with girls and doesn't know what fifth position is. I mean, I knew my stuff and I was working, so I don't know. I think it's also boys and girls growing up are always have that, like, oh, that's gross, until you
Yeah.
grow out of it. And then when you grow out of it, you're in your like early teenage years and everybody's pretty immature and let their jokes fly about different things. So
Sure.
that doesn't help. But it wasn't ever too bad. I know when I quit basketball my this summer before my freshman year, that was when it got bad because I was really close with a lot of the basketball people, and this wasn't everybody, but there was a select few that were pretty mad that I was all of a sudden gonna quit and do dance. They thought like, oh my god, he was secretly gay, and now he's gonna go to that. I don't want to say the word, but school at DA,
Oh.
which has some stigma towards that, just in general about the arts, and yeah, so that was pretty bad. I remember that being not cool, but for the most part, I mean, I mean, people. I think I was watching something the other day, and someone made a joke. It was a comedy thing, and somebody said something about an ice skater, but an ice skater being in a pair of tights, and then the other guy was like, "Oh, well, of course he wanted to be and look or wanted the other guy in tights." That's not true. I mean, I don't care if people say that, but I wouldn't. I don't want to really talk about ice skating because I don't know. But I know in ballet, there's been times where there would be more gay men than straight men, and there's been, I would say, probably more times where there was more straight men than gay men. Definitely. So it just depended on what school or company or how it worked that year. If there was turnover and then a bunch of new people came. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you think about it, yeah, you're around girls.
Yeah.
So how bad can that be? And then there's always the age-old thing, like if you're a quarterback, where do you got to put your hands? In the lineman to snap the ball.
Right.
Think
right.
about it. Or if you're on a athletic team, all the guys shower together. Like that's pretty cool. I don't remember people getting teased about that too much.
Yeah.
So I don't. It just culture.
Well,
Any
you know,
culture,
it's
you know.
you
And
speak
even
of ice skating. There was coverage on NPR. I remember driving home and listening to that, and it was they were talking about the social stigma for figure skating when kids are growing up and
Yeah.
want to be a figure skater, and to get sort of made fun of for that. And so I imagine that it might have been similar. But then I think about it, like if I'm a figure skater, first of all, I have to be very athletic, just like you have to be extremely athletic.
If I'm dancing,
Like
yes.
Barishnikov was supposedly like one of the premier athletes on earth because of his abilities to jump and to do some crazy stuff that he was able to do.
Extension, holding the leg, or really just dancing. I mean, go out there and dance for 10 minutes straight,
Oh, yeah.
hard, and see how you feel. See if you can actually make it 10 minutes. That's
Yeah.
just 10 minutes. I mean, so yeah, you're right. You have to be very
You have to be in
physical.
super shape, and you're surrounded by women, so I can't
Yeah,
understand
yeah,
how that's.
I
gay.
get. I hear,
I just
especially in like my so-called college years, um, hearing that from guys like, "Oh man, I should have done ballet a little bit. That's so cool. You get to be around." And when you're in it, you're not thinking about those particular things. It's rare that thought would pop in your mind. I mean, there's so much going on. Like you got to take class and train yourself in the morning, and then you go and rehearse all day, and you're worried about all the things we talked about earlier. Getting this part. Think about it. I got a contract, but none of the choreographers really casted me all year. The director gave me a little bit, but not a lot. I think I might not get re-signed. You're thinking
yeah.
about maybe that, or you're getting a lot of parts, so then you're thinking of, how do I become this character in this ballet, which to me is the hardest part of dancing because we don't speak. So
Yeah.
everything has, to take a lot of thought and care, and it's hit or miss. Like there's been rules where I thought I did really well and it was not the greatest response, and then sometimes I did really well and it was an awesome response. You know, I mean, you're worried so much about that, you're not thinking about, man, check out these girls at work. You're not, I don't know, it's rare. I mean, maybe occasionally, but I don't remember like thinking about it like that every day or very often. But now I look back and think, yeah, that was pretty cool compared to most people. I
So
mean,
did you ever date anybody then?
yeah, there was a few. I mean, in dance,
I mean, were they
I wouldn't
dancing
say
with
how
you, or-
many, but definitely had my share. It's a really cool experience because you both do the same thing, or you go to school together, or you work together, which is for the most part good. Sometimes when you want space, like it's tough because if you ever, anybody who's ever worked with a spouse or in a relationship, when you work with someone, it can get tough sometimes. But to me, that was always my most favorite because they understood something, like I said, that I love. I mean, I love ballet and contemporary dance and most dance for that matter, but especially those. And I could sit there and talk about something with a unfamiliar mind in dance and they not know a word, like speaking another language to them.
Well, yeah. When
But
you
then
rattled
with
off all those
someone you
moves.
work with,
Yeah.
you could talk about whatever, whether it be training or choreographer or, oh my gosh, everybody keeps showing this video of something on So You Think You Can Dance and think it's so great, it's not that great, you know, and like have a chuckle. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff on that show, but some things get blown out of proportion, especially in Dancing with the Stars, which is a ballroom thing. But yeah, that was always cool. I mean, if you ever get to dance with them too, like that's always fun. Sometimes it can be tough in rehearsal because
You get
you don't have the
frustrated.
barrier of like, oh, we keep missing this whip turn, which is a multiple where she'll turn on her point shoe and I guide her standing behind her while she's turning, or whatever, or a lift that sometimes we get, sometimes we don't. Well, when you have that barrier with someone, you're not with them. It's like, oh, let me try this, let me try that, or maybe it's this, and you think and you work well, and then you figure it out. And sometimes you get mad at each other if it doesn't work, and you're like, oh. But when you're with someone, dating someone, there's not too much of a barrier. Sometimes it can get nasty. Like, you can miss something. Oh.
You're always
Whoa,
doing this.
she just got pissed at me. I better do better next time. And then you're like, should I try this? No. Or I could do the same with them. She's off her point shoe. She can't find her point. Oh my gosh. Can you just, do you need to be forward or back? That's kind of a harsh way to say. And then it can escalate. But, I mean, it doesn't ever get too bad. But it has its plus or minuses. And I don't know. I mean, I always liked it. I thought it was cool. It's
So
been a
there's
while since I've dated a girl that's dancing, or I know some that used to dance, but yeah, it's happened. Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be pretty neat. I don't know. I mean, they're all in shape. They have to be,
Yeah, if you're not
well
in shape, you're
maintained.
not gonna
or
last
whatever.
very
That's
long.
pretty cool.
That's why I talk about the lifestyle. It's hard, I mean, sometimes think about it. If you're like, man, I like say you really like a certain ice cream or something, or whatever. I mean, you're not gonna eat that. At least in my experience, you're not gonna eat that for a while. Maybe in the
Wow.
off season, you're like, oh, I can order pizza, have some beer, go out, do whatever. It's 2 in the morning. Oh, let's get some food. Come back. Stay late. Get up early. Have basically get on a wacky time schedule to where you're not eating at the precise hours to keep your metabolism on schedule and you're eating. But like, you can't do any of that stuff. You have to be very, very dedicated. Because like I said,
Wow.
jobs are hard to get. And that's just getting the job. Then you got to get casted and all this stuff we talked about. But no, I mean, you get into rhythm too. Like, once you get used to it, I remember once you get used to it, it's hard to get off the rhythm, you know, like eating right, exercising, cross training is what I would call it. Because we get up and we dance, we take class, but it's still not enough. You need to do a workout, whether it's a Pilates based workout or lifting weights, or I did a lot of walking. Or now I ride bikes more, but then I would walk all the time after hours, like 45 minutes, and then do like a Pilates based type workout in the evening, and make sure you eat stuff that would make you look good and very revealing clothing, because it's what you usually wear in a ballet. So
Wow. So there's a couple extra posts, a couple additional posts here on the chat stream. So thanks guys for joining us tonight. So Sun Angel 90 says that's a stereotype for men's sexual preferences in performing arts it's based on social roles. So yeah, I'm talking about like sort of that social stigma that you were talking about.
yeah, and DA, I remember the whole school would get brushed with it from outsiders, but inside the school, people would still focus on dance sometimes. I mean, not a lot, but
Yeah, it's crazy. You're still getting
I like the
Like,
artistic
people-
side of life.
that people are even getting any kind of flack for that in the first place. Like, why is it a deal? Like, why is it even?
I think it's the tights, man. I think it's the tights. I think that just makes people so
What if they- what else
uncomfortable
would
when
you
they
wear?
don't see it. And I remember, like I said, I was at
Like
Pine
basketball
Forest and we went to
shorts?
see the Nutcracker, and the guy was wearing white tights. I was like, "Yo, Johnny, I could see his balls." And then you just start laughing. I mean, it starts from there, and
Well, that sounds pretty gay.
yeah, it
You know?
does. It kind of.
It's crazy how
But it's
homophobic
so
folks-
far from it. I mean, it's
We're not
really to
homophobic.
show the physique, and
Sure.
it takes an educated mind to fully appreciate why we wear what we wear, but the untrained eye can still see like, whoa, that was pretty cool. I mean, if there's a good dancer and you watch what they can execute
Sure.
in a solo, or it could be anything, and you could understand, okay, now I kind of get it. I don't understand what's going on, but I can see what is going on, and now I can accept what I'm seeing a little bit more. It's not so much of, a big joke or whatever. So
Yeah, I imagine that. I mean, I don't know that much about ballet, but I imagine because of the complexity of the moves and the grace in which you execute them, that if you were wearing like big baggy clothes, that it would almost be like a singer muffling their voice as they were singing or something like that. Unless the clothes.
if
were a
it's
part of
classical
it.
ballet, it's
Yeah.
impossible to wear baggy clothes. I mean, there's no way. But there's contemporary
Sure.
and modern and lyrical, or you could wear something looser, but it still has to look right. I mean, just like if you were to watch Fashion Police or red carpet stuff or whatever, I mean, they can experiment with stuff, and some of it's good and some of it's not. It's the same. Wardrobe is what I would call it. It's all in the wardrobe department, and the choreographer's idea of what he tells them to sketch, and then they make it, and maybe it looks good, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But yeah, classical ballet, it's all tights, for sure.
So Kay Cassiano says he was, I guess he was a cheerleader when he went to UCF. He was harassed. He hung out with hot chicks all day. But Sun Angel saying, like a real dancer, like down here somewhere. She's saying that a real dancer would have been, or a real artist. Hold on, what did she say? Yeah, true artists would be more focused on the performance, like you were saying.
Oh yeah, but I think the whole hot chicks thing or girls thing is just a defense thing to say, hey, I'm not gay. But to me, it never bothered me, because even at a young age, there were a small few that I kind of thought were gay, and we always got along well. So I was like, you know what? I don't know. And again, I'm thinking in a 12-year-old's mind back then when I was 12. Like, so and so is pretty nice and never gave me any trouble and good person. And if they are gay, what's wrong with them? So I remember being careful about the I'm not gay or that's crazy or like, because think, maybe
Yeah.
there's a few and you don't want to put more pressure on them. Because I would always be thinking like how it would feel to hide dancing because I was playing ball at the time. It's like, so I was cautious with that. But yeah, once you get older and when you're focused, I mean, to hell with everyone else. The Sun Angel's right. I mean, it's all about focusing on the artistic side at that point, and for a while. So, but yeah, I think it's just a defense thing, and I mean, I can't really speak at cheerleading a lot, but I'm sure that they've gone through similar
It's the
experiences
same way,
as I have.
I'm guessing, especially
So.
during the performance. You've got to really be focused on what you're doing. I mean, people get injured and stuff in ballet as
Well,
well.
that's how I ended up being here. It's injured.
Oh, is that
That's
what
for sure.
happened? You ended up getting injured.
So, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can see where he's coming from, but the hot chicks.
Well, so to me, this is maybe totally creepy sounding, but like I just have an appreciation for the female form. So
As
it's
long
just-
as you control yourself.
yeah, right.
And you play it cool, you'll be all right. And I think that's just life, you know? I mean, you can go out to a bar and one guy can be smooth and he'll be good. And one guy can be an idiot and say stupid things that you think will be great and be a big hit and then he ends up being a loser. I mean, it's the same thing at work for
Yeah,
when
well,
you're in a company.
not all people go to work where there's a bunch of really fit chicks that
no,
are in tights.
that's where I would say I could see
Yeah.
where he's coming from with the hot girls or just girls in general. But
Yeah,
you gotta be
and,
careful.
and I
mean,
can see like what I'm saying is, of course, if I was practicing, we're working on something, it doesn't matter. But there's always like, all right, we're done.
yeah.
Dang, she's pretty hot. You know what I mean?
Sometimes, I mean,
But I
people
guess
get
you
together.
really have it on
you
your
know, I
mind.
couldn't say, but
Yeah.
it happens.
Like you have the performance.
It's
and
the same
pressure
with
and
guys,
all those
though.
things that you said.
Like girls could feel that way about guys in the company. I've seen it. You know, I've definitely seen it. Where like, wow, you know, check out the new guy, blah blah blah, and they'll go on and on. Or so and so who's already been there say, oh yeah, he's great. Look at that, you know.
Huh.
But we all play it cool at the end of the day. No one gets too carried away. We appreciate the human form, like you were saying.
Sure. Dude, that's pretty cool. Now, I know we're getting close to the end of the show.
I
here,
know
but I did
already.
want
That
to
went by
ask you.
fast. Huh.
It always does go by fast. I did want to ask you, but earlier you mentioned when you were playing ball and then you moved into dance, and you mentioned that you had a little bit of a hard time transitioning because you needed to adopt a new mentality. So, what was it? What do you mean by that? If you could elaborate.
Well, I remember on a basketball team, and especially in middle school, for the school I played for, which was Landon, coaches in general work you harder. You're a bunch of boys or guys, and you can treat a group of guys different than you treat a group of girls, especially if they're ballet girls. I mean, I remember getting yelled at, and screamed at, and cursed at, and push you. I mean, never hit, like never
Right.
like physical where you felt like, but you wouldn't run fast enough. Come on, go do it again. Now everybody's going to run more laps. If you miss your shot, you go down and you do push-ups and spell Landon Lions, and then you go back and shoot it. If you miss, you do it again. And there's no, my arm's tired, I'm going to start crying, and the teacher will be like, oh, go just get some water and come back. Not in basketball.
Right.
It never would happen. You just keep going until you do it or you drop. I mean, people that you would play against will talk smack to you in the game. You know, there's always chin music going on, and they could say some stuff. I mean, they're guys.
Yeah.
Where, you know, you run laps and I don't know, you're just guys. You get a group of guys together and maybe some of them aren't that nice, and you hear some stuff, but you all laugh because maybe it's a guy joke or something. Well, when you switch to ballet, first of all that is out the window. Like, you have to be very pleasing looking, like you're in a friendly mood. You have to speak like you're in a friendly mood, and maybe sometimes compliment someone. Okay, that never would go on in sports. Like, you weren't like, "Oh, coach, I love your new whistle. That looks great, man." You know, never. But so and so could get their hair cut. Like, "Oh, that looks great. Oh, thank you, everyone. Okay, let's go into our demi play. We'll start in second position today." So that was way different. I was just on the outside of that. And I'd come in there and I'd work hard, and my face would look like I was perturbed or maybe a little pissed off. I wasn't, man. I was just ready to work.
Yeah.
And that was perceived as, he doesn't want to be here and he doesn't like me. Well, if I respect you and I'm working hard, I was confused. But you do in the dance world have to be, like I said, more of a pleasing personality. I mean, maybe if you're way up there on the social scale of ballet and a famous choreographer or director or dancer, you can get away with some things. But even then, you don't want to do that, because you want to build more connections.
Sure.
And you
I'm
want
sure you want to
more
network, and these are the
networking,
people you
just
work
like in anything.
with.
So, but yeah, before we go, we got to talk about YGP. That's a big deal going on for me right now, and really, it's more about this
YGP.
Yeah, Youth American Grand Prix. We did the semifinal. I did 2 semifinals.
Is
with
there a
2
website
different
for
groups.
it?
Yes, of course. It's ygp.org.
YAGP?
Yep.
Or YGP?
YAGP.org.
And that's the young what?
Well, that's the, and he's not just my student. He's Florida Ballet Training Center's student. But I've worked with him a lot this year, and I mostly coached him the past few months for this competition. I did another one in Tampa with a different group, but I guess I'll just talk about this one, even though that one went really well too. But they have it in most major city in the USA, and then they have it in a bunch of other countries. Japan, there's some China, I think there's one in China. Pretty much most of the major areas in Europe, they have different ones, and they take the top 3. I know Brazil and Mexico have one. The top 3 in each age division. There's several, but really the one we're in is the senior division, ages 15 to 19, and you have to get in the top 3 in the semifinal, or a score of 95 or higher, which is really hard to get. And then those people go to New York for the final. Now, our situation is actually unique because he technically came in 4th, but because it was so close and the competition in the Atlanta was top heavy in his particular category. What I mean is, maybe there wasn't a lot of good guys, but I mean, there were good people there. Sure. Don't get me wrong. But there wasn't 30 pretty good guys, but there was 3 really, really good guys there. And he just, honestly, I think he should have placed, and a lot of other people said it too, but they offered him a special exception and an invitation to the New York City finals. And wow. It's really rare. The school he's been going to, they've had an ensemble piece go before, which is a group number, but they've never had an individual go and compete in the solo rounds. And we're going April 4th through the 11th in this April, yeah. And yeah, we're really excited. He'll go with Orlando Ballet School. He'll travel with them. I'll travel on my own. But we'll link up there, and it's been great working with this guy because he's got a crazy schedule. Like, he has to wake up really early, go to this McDonald's across the street because his mother works early hours, and will be in the McDonald's from like 5 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. and then our school
What's
opens.
he do there?
Yeah. Our school opens across the street, and he'll come in and then dance all day, and then he goes home and then does it again the next day. I mean, I don't remember getting up and having to be sitting in a McDonald's, waiting at 5
He's
in the
pretty
morning.
dedicated.
That's hardcore
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, there's people with all kinds of stories, but I found that impressive, and I never once could tell it affected him. I mean, the guy's worked so hard. He's been a joy to work with. He's extremely talented. I'm
What's his
most interested to see how he will do. His name is David Schrenk. He's 17 years old.
Wow.
And he will do the variation from Swan Lake Act 1, which, again, if there's any dancers listening, it's the slow variation. And then he has a contemporary solo choreographed by our resident choreographer, Amina Medley, who works for Florida Ballet Training Centre.
Wow.
I'm very lucky because I get to go and will be the official representative of David, which is cool. I mean, it's really nice to come back to Jacksonville and work with another guy from Jacksonville who's grown up and rehearsed and taken class and done all the things with one of the teachers in particular, Lori Bird. So, you come back and you see someone who had your situation 13 plus years ago,
Yeah,
and now
you're
here
sort of
they
paying,
are,
going
and
back
you
in
just
the
want
cycle.
to, like, hey man, let's go to New York, let's compete against the rest of the world that are gonna be there, and let's see what a pair of guys from Jacksonville can do. I mean, don't get me wrong, dancers dance. I mean, they earn it, they do it, it's all on them. But you have to have good coaching and good
Right.
training, or
Right.
and that's what I really like to do now. I feel like I'm very good at, and proud of the results of our unit at Florida Ballet and our faculty there to get a student into the finals. It's a very big deal
Yeah,
right
that's
now
cool.
for us, and we'll see how it goes. I mean, yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'm very interested. But on a side note, when I did the YAGP in Tampa, this was in early January. I had a guy, because you had mentioned choreographing, and he's 15, so he was just barely old enough to be in the senior division, which is tough, when you're on the younger side competing against a bunch of other guys. And he got top 6 in the contemporary round, and that was the first solo I ever choreographed.
Wow.
It's funny because I look back on the website yagp.org, and in the Tampa listings of the winners, because on the website you can look up winner results of the different cities, and there's quite a few. And it's got so and so, it's like Orlando Ballet for the top. This is top 6 male contemporary round, and it's like this guy from Orlando Ballet School, another guy from Orlando Ballet School, a guy from Next Generation Ballet in Tampa, another guy from Orlando Ballet School, another guy from Next Generation, and Landry Reidner, independent. That was my guy.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, we got in there with the big guys, because
So those pretty big schools.
yeah, Orlando Ballet School, the Herod Conservatory, and Next Generation of Patel Conservatory in Tampa. Herod, by the way, is in Boca Raton, which is just north of Miami. Those, to me, are the 3 premier ballet schools in the state of Florida. If I'm leaving one out, I just haven't been experienced with how big they are on a scale. There's tons of schools, small schools, medium schools in Florida where there's good dancers, but these are the 3 main ones where people, like how I did when I went to Herod, You train, either you're really talented when you're young, or you train and you get good enough to get in, and then you work your butt off, and that program makes you better. You know, like
Yeah.
if you were to join the army, you're gonna learn to be trained to do whatever it is that you'll do in the army well,
Sure.
right? Or the Marines or a Navy SEAL or whatever. And going into a ballet school, they prepare you for a company. And those three schools do, especially Orlando and Next Generation right now. So I was really happy that the first solo I ever did got up there.
Yeah.
And that I coached him well enough.
Cool.
And I've worked with this guy the past almost 3 years now, and he was young when I first met him, like small, like a child still. Now he looks like a teenage guy. And I was really proud. It's like, wow, how about that? You know, that was really cool. And
Yeah, it's
I've had
cool.
a few other things I've choreographed that sometimes gets performed, and yeah, it's really cool. I never really focused on choreography a lot, but now that I teach, there's times where you have to choreograph a piece at the end of the year, depending on the school. It's not always like, some schools make you do that, and some of the schools I work for don't. They just want you to train their students, which I like a lot as well. But it's been a good challenge. I mean, there's been a few things I've made that I've been like, wow, I didn't think I could make something. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm gonna be some great choreographer, but it's pretty cool to finally
Yeah,
do it after
make
working
something.
with so many choreographers all those years performing. Now to be on the other side was cool. Um, but yeah, things are going well. I had a guy get top 6 in Tampa, and then I've got another guy going to New York. And
But
yeah,
do
it's
you
been
have
good.
your own school that you're starting,
No.
or your own?
People have brought that up recently and in the past few years, but no, right now I'm very happy with working for the schools that I named earlier. I don't know, I just like the way that's going. I don't want to be the owner. I don't want any of the responsibility of
Sure.
being
Yeah.
worrying about all those things. I just want to work on the artistic side. I don't really want to worry about the other stuff right now. Down
That
the
makes sense.
line, who knows? It doesn't look that way right now. It looks like things will be how they are, but yeah, I don't know. It's changes so much. I mean, this school I talked about, Florida Ballet Training Center, I didn't even know I was gonna work for them 7, 8 months ago. I mean, I've known about them a long time. I mean, shoot, I used to go there back when it was still just Florida Ballet in the early 2000s, and now to be back and working there was cool. I mean, it's a very successful program in the city of Jacksonville, especially for ballet. If you're looking for good ballet training, that's where you want to go. I was working for this place called Bolero's. I mean, many places, but this one place in particular, Bolero's Ballroom, and they had other studio spaces. So I would just go in there and do what we would call open class. Like anybody can come in and drop in money and come and take my class. You don't have to register. We don't need your information. You're not required to come and take a certain amount of hours. Oh, you can't be a part of this program. That kind of stuff. It wasn't anything like that. And it was a good program, but Bolero's, the people that owned it wanted the YMCA to move in to the place.
Oh, I
So, you know, it went down, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm gonna have to replace it. And then out of nowhere in the summer, I got an email from Florida Ballet like,
That's
we
really
want you to
cool.
come fill in, and I started teaching, and then right away, almost they gave me more classes after a few weeks. Uh, they put me down more conservatory work, and then I ended up started coaching David, and it's just gone a lot. Like,
Well, that's cool.
so
man.
yeah, it's really nice. I get to work in the morning there because they have a conservatory program where we teach in the morning and early afternoon, and then I'll, depending on the day, stay there or go drive out to the beach and teach 5 hours at Studio 1014. Or on another day, I'll drive out to Fruit Cove and work 4 or 5 hours at Mark Spivak's school. So I'm all over the place, like know people in different parts of the city. It's really
Wow.
cool. Like that to me, I like a lot. You know, I can work with a huge group, but it is a challenge to have a lot of students
Yeah.
because it's a lot to keep up with. Like, apparently today, this girl's like, "Oh, I'm really tired. I feel like it's 11 o'clock right now." Like, well, why is that? Oh, you don't remember? I went to Spain because I just came back from spring break, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's right." I don't remember. I
Right.
really like her. She's a good
Sure.
student, but that's just one small example of like the challenges. Because when you're a teacher, especially with younger students, I mean, they latch on to you, and you need to respect that. You can't just teach them dance. You know, I mean, you don't want to get too involved, but
You are
at the
right.
same time, if they show you something, you need to reciprocate. You know, it's important. They're young and impressionable, so it's a challenge, but yeah, I love it. It's so much fun. I feel like last week it was last March, and now it's March of 2014. So I mean, you can't beat that, right?
That's crazy.
So
Yeah. Well, Bryan, man, thanks for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
oh
I
yeah, it
know
was a
we got
blast.
some listeners tuning in, and they can also check it on the archive. If you listen to this on the archive or listen to us live, if you enjoyed the show tonight, make sure to spam it out to your friends. Always looking for more followers. Let me know how I can make the show better. If you want to be on the show, send me an email at theboydpodcast@gmail.com, and I'll get you on the show. But thanks again. I appreciate it. And this is James Boyd signing off.